If you're interested in high performance, no matter the field, then you've probably heard about the idea of flow, the intense state of focus that you enter when you're fully engaged in a challenging but rewarding task. In this video, I'm going to be exploring the connection between 5 flow triggers, as described by Stephen Kotler, and live sketchnoting, something you might want to do when you're at a workshop or listening to a podcast interview, and you want to sketch out the ideas that you're listening to in real time, to understand those ideas better, remember more of them, and act on them in a meaningful way. First, let me share a clip from a video that Matt Diavella recently published to his YouTube channel, the video that inspired this one, in which Kotler briefly describes each flow trigger.
There are 5 different flow triggers that are all dopamine triggers. So risk produces dopamine. Whenever we take a risk, we get dopamine. Dopamine is how the brain fires us up for taking that risk. Whenever we encounter novelty, we get dopamine. Complexity produces dopamine. Unpredictability produces dopamine, and so does pattern recognition, which is the linking of ideas together.
With that as a starting point, let's now apply those 5 flow triggers to this particular application of live sketchnoting. First up, risk. Now, it might not seem like note-taking is a particularly risky activity, but when you care about the ideas that you're getting down, and they're tied to something that you're working on in your personal or professional life, there is some pressure there. And with live sketchnoting, when you don't have the opportunity to pause what it is that you're listening to, if you miss something, then it's gone. You can't pause the speaker at the conference you're attending and ask them to repeat that last point. You've just got to keep going. There's also plenty of novelty involved in the sketchnoting process. Because of the fact that you're listening to this information for the first time, there are new ideas and new stories coming at you every single minute. And since you, like me, probably nerd out on a variety of different topics, that type of novelty is really enjoyable. That's what can make taking notes, as boring as that might sound, that's what can make it a fun and meaningful experience. Next up, complexity. One way to think about the sketchnoting process is thinking about the question or topic that you're exploring as this knotted thread, and your job is to untangle it, to make sense of it, because very likely the thing that you are taking notes on has a whole lot of complexity to it. Otherwise, you wouldn't bother to break out your sketchbook. And that complexity that underlies whatever you're exploring, that's what makes that topic both interesting and also challenging. And that challenge of breaking down and understanding the complexity, that's what makes it a trigger for flow. And as you're watching someone give a talk or listening to a podcast conversation, there is plenty of unpredictability there because you don't know what's coming next. That unpredictability about where the speaker is going or where that particular conversation will go gets us to that 4th flow trigger. And what might be my favorite is the 5th here of pattern recognition. I feel like this is what sketchnoting is all about. What makes sketchnoting a useful tool is that it helps you to connect this idea to that other idea visually on the page. That's why the mind maps and other diagrams that you incorporate into your notes, as well as the simple scenes that you sketch out, that's why those are so powerful, because they are representations of the patterns that you have recognized and translated into some visual form that you've captured on the page. And it's the fact that live sketchnoting checks all 5 of these boxes, hits every single one of these flow triggers. That's what has me excited about doing more of it in the future. For the past year or so, I think I've kind of been avoiding real-time sketchnoting and instead sticking to situations where I can pause the information flow anytime I want. That's something that I've kind of avoided for a while, putting myself in those risky situations where I can't or choose not to pause whatever it is that I'm listening to and taking notes on. And because I've kind of removed that risky element, I've missed out on the opportunity to enter that flow state more often. So in the coming weeks, I'm going to be adding that risk component back in, specifically with a somewhat new tool combination that I'm exploring throughout this year, the tablet and stylus combo that I'm building educational resources around within in my latest course, Digital Sketchnoting. So if you also use digital tools for your note-taking, you might enjoy exploring what that course is all about. But no matter what materials you use to capture, process, and share ideas, I encourage you to give live sketchnoting a try for this reason specifically, and see if it helps you enter a state of flow. Do keep in mind that, as I shared in a previous video, that flow is also about setting the challenge level high enough so that it's just accessible by your current skill level. If you're curious about how to do that for your next sketchnoting session, how to adjust the challenge level so that it better aligns with the maximum of your current skills, then go check out that video, How to Achieve Flow While Sketchnoting, which I've linked down below. I also recommend checking out the full video from Matt Diavella, which I've also linked to. And if you'd like to dig more into the development of your sketchnoting skills, then go explore the resources available at verbaltovisual.com. Thank you for watching. Good luck achieving flow in your next sketchnoting session, and I'll talk to you again in the next video. Till then.